The NAACP, in this headline right here, NAACP knocks Biden for agreeing to end the pause on student loan payments in the debt deal. Reporting coming from the Hill. The NAACP sent an open letter to President Biden on Thursday, admonishing his agreement to end the pause on federal student loan payments as part of negotiations with Speaker Kevin McCarthy, a Republican from California, to resolve the debt ceiling crisis. Now, NAACP and CEO and President Derrick Johnson, along with Youth College Division Director Wisdom Cole, wrote the letter, which in part reads: the resolution of the debt ceiling crisis is one we wholeheartedly welcome, and we appreciate all that went into debt ceiling negotiations. However, we are disappointed that the needs of Black communities have suffered from the negotiated agreement that will erode economic progress by Black Americans. It is disappointing that the narrowing the racial wealth gap was not giving a higher priority. Again, part of this letter from the NAACP president and the director for the Division of Youth, Winston Cole. And how did the White House respond? Well, by releasing this backwards statement. Let's put some of that up. President Biden recognizes the burden student debt has on tens of thousands, millions of Black Americans across the country, which is why he secured the largest increase to Pell Grants in decades. The president will continue to defend and strengthen his Investing in America agenda, which has resulted in record low Black unemployment. WTF. This is such a slap in the face to even utter such a response, ignoring the realities of Black student loan borrowers. But yet this president and this administration did this in a very cavalier manner, because this is the same attitude they had when he was running in 2020. Many of you may remember when none other than Charlemagne the God on the Breakfast Club asked the president a question about the environment, about Black people, about what was happening. That this is the same man who said that if you have to figure out whether you're for me or Trump, you ain't Black. This response is really that same kind of response, just perked up a little bit, just fashioned a little differently. Black and African American college graduates owe an average of $25,000 more in student loan debt than white college graduates. 4 years after graduation, Black students owe an average of 188% more than white students borrowed. And this chart right here lays it out for you. Monthly student loan payments by race. And you have for the Black community, $250, white community, $201. This is average. $239 for Hispanics, $240 for Asians, $217 for American Indian / Alaskan Native, and $155 for 2 or more races. So Jessica, for me, this administration is just a little too casual with the Black community for my taste, given the fact that the Black community, among any other demographic within the Democratic voting base, is the loyalist voting base.
Yeah, and this has always been an issue that's been about race. I remember it was the Reagan administration. I wasn't around then, but I have read that it was the Reagan administration that was very uncomfortable at the idea of African American students going to college. They were also very uncomfortable, their words exactly, that members of the working class would become educated. They called that dangerous, someone in Reagan's cabinet who is in the realm of higher education. So they very deliberately wanted to make it more exclusive. It used to be free for kids to obtain higher education if they went to a public institution, a public university. And so what happened was they started to increasingly make it more expensive. They cut spending when it came to giving money to public schools. This was especially a problem during the 2000 financial crisis. When we saw less federal funding going towards states and states not spending that money on public universities, we also saw younger people sheltering by going into college instead of entering a really bad labor market that was collapsed thanks to Wall Street and people running our economy not in the interest of everyday working people. And so what did bankers do? They found a way to get rich off of this mess that they created and offer not only have the rise of for-profit colleges and the skyrocketing of tuition, but let's now indebt these students for life and earn interest off of it and earn a bunch of money off of servicing these loans on behalf of the government. Instead, we've just privatized all of that debt. And so they've gotten very rich off of a problem that doesn't need to be there because it's a wise economic investment for public college to be free and to have an educated workforce. And now it's a problem that is still disproportionately affecting the African American community. So Joe Biden will never forget him saying that. And he's done a terrible job addressing the needs of the African American community. And for him to think that he's obligated to have their votes is absurd. And it's another thing that's opened the door for candidates like Cornel West.
Yeah, that's it, Jessica. And for me, I keep saying this, I'm gonna say it ad nauseum. I believe the Black community must stop being complicit in its own demise or our own demise and start to hold these people accountable, and by extension, working class. I mean, can you imagine if working class people from all backgrounds united and said, we're not gonna take this anymore from the duopoly whatsoever, but especially for the Democratic Party. I mean, shame on the Republicans who don't really care whether or not they get Black votes or not at this point. Like today's Republican Party could give less than a damn. But for the Democrats who enjoy the majority, the lion's share of the Black community's vote in a disproportionate way, Black community rocking with the Democratic Party come hell or high water, they ought to comport themselves in a way that they understand who helps deliver the vote for them. I remember a speech from Minister Malcolm X, I think it was the Ballot or the Bullet, where he reminded the Black community as to how the Democratic Party came into power. And his speech in the 60s is just as important, just as germane as if he's giving that speech right now today. And I agree with you, Jessica, shame on the Biden administration, but they don't feel any shame. And some part of them not feeling any pressure is at the feet of the Black community. I am absolutely elated to see the national NAACP jump into the fray and not just sit silently on the sidelines and take the crumbs from the master's table. I'm glad that they are calling out President Joe Biden and his administration for this slap in the face. And this is just one of many slaps in the face that the Black community is facing at the hands of a Democratic Party that does little or nothing for the Black community and still gets the Black vote. Black America, you need to wake up, stay woke. And I ain't talking about the kind of woke that DeSantis is talking about, because he don't know what woke means, but we know what stay woke means. There needs to be some consequences and some repercussions for this betrayal by this administration. And this is not the first betrayal, it won't be the last betrayal. So the power is absolutely in our hands to craft and draft another vision of what this country should look like and what this country should be doing for us going into 2024. Stop giving away our vote for free.